there, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome to another edition of CTNTworld.com. It's a show where we tell you the stories of human trials and human triumphs. And you hear how people overcome all kinds of adversity to come out on the other side. In many instances, they have support with them. In many instances, they're alone going through their trials and tribulations, and they rely on a higher power to get them through. Last week, we heard the love story of Janelle and Keith. Janelle, a survivor of a marriage that was 10 years in duration and filled with domestic violence, verbal, economic, physical, and psychological abuse. But somehow she made it through that particular hell to find Keith, and today they are happily married, and they shared with us their story and also gave us a couple tips and pointers as to how to get it right the second time around. We have with us again this week psychologist Daryl Joseph. And Daryl, we're going to go into in depth, and look at exactly how to get the relationship thing right. And especially when you are going into it the second, or for some people the third or the fourth or the fifth time around. There are clearly some things that we don't see, or some ideas that we have in our head about how things are supposed to be. And all of these preconceived notions seem to mess us up, so we wind up making wrong choices and going through serious misery.
That's right. That's right.
We want to invite you to call in 622-4141 extension 4. That's 622-4141 extension 4. We're talking about man-woman business today, relationship thing. So feel free to jump in at any time and put your questions and comments to our psychologist, Daryl Joseph. You can also text in, type HELP, leave a space, type your comment, and send it to 4913, and make sure that your comment gets in on the show. Okay, Daryl. There are reasons why we choose badly.
Absolutely, there are. Well, good morning, first of all.
Good morning.
All the listeners, all the viewers, everyone. Yes, many times people think that they have bad luck, or that they pray to the wrong God, or any number of reasons why they end up in the wrong relationships. Or
they try to do that feng shui thing, and they didn't exactly do it in the correct sequence that they were supposed to bring love into their lives, right?
Yes. You see, the human psyche always tries to protect itself from further damage, okay? And the last thing that you want to hear, or the last thing you want to believe, is that you are making or you are contributing to your own relationship woes. So we will gravitate towards every external reason as to why we might be meeting the wrong people or hooking up with the wrong people, and we don't really understand how we contribute to it as well, okay? What I would like to do is to try as best as possible to relate to this story last week, where the viewers who were looking on, they would have known that the couple, what were their names
Janelle
again?
And
Janelle and Keith, okay. Janelle and Keith, Janelle had a very, very difficult childhood, okay, involving a lot of different things, abuse and so on. And it made life difficult for her. She went through a difficult marriage, I think it was, at first,
her first marriage,
First one. The second one, which is the present one with Keith, is a lot better, but that too, both of them have undergone a lot of difficulty to get to this point, and they openly admit that they're continuing to struggle and fight along with it, all right? So what I'd like to do is to start off then by explaining about 4 different reasons why many of us end up choosing the wrong person. And as you said, if this strikes a nerve with anybody, out there, feel free to call in, text, and so on, and we'll take it from there. All right, so the first reason I like to talk about is what I call going home to the familiar, okay? And this is where I was writing a little equation down and I was getting it wrong, but I have it right now, okay? It goes something like this. We tend to gravitate towards what we are accustomed to. Now, a lot of what I'm talking about now will be subconscious motivations, not things that you sit down and think about. You don't, sip a cup of tea and study, well, let me see how I could get myself in trouble with somebody this year or this week.
Is it a scenario where one day you wake up and realize, oh my goodness, I'm dating my father, or oh my goodness, I'm dating my mother? Is that what you're talking about?
If you wake up, because some people never wake up. They go through the entire thing asleep, and they go through it again, and they keep wondering why it keeps happening. But you're touching on something there that is actually very important. So going home to the familiar is like this, okay? Now we all as children equate home with love. okay? Our first experience, regardless of what that experience is like, where we grew up, where our family is, where we plant our roots and so on, we associate that with love. So if love is home for me, but my home is very chaotic,
and dysfunctional,
or very angry, or very dysfunctional, or very uncaring, or very, lack of warmth, very cold, very hard, and so on, I will inadvertently make an association between what I think love is and chaos. I'll say that again. So if love is home, and home for me is chaos, I will automatically assume that love is somehow also chaotic. That is not something that the conscious mind picks up, but the subconscious mind picks it up. So it is not uncommon for a person who, let's say they had a home with a lot of quarreling, a lot of animosity, a lot of anger, and a lack of emotional warmth and so on. It's not uncommon for someone like that to find themselves in a similar situation when they grow older and when they end up in a relationship.
Or even to go about creating the conditions in that relationship to ensure that they have that space right there in that relationship.
Yeah, that's when it gets really
make
scary.
It happen, even if it doesn't exist. Yes, they make it happen.
Yes, and I'll touch on that idea a little further on in the next reason. But that's when it gets really scary. When you actually begin creating it for yourself without realizing it. I mean, stumbling upon it and finding it appealing for some reason is one thing, but actually working to create it is a whole different step. And it's, as I said, that's scary stuff, okay? So the first reason, as I said, I would call is going home to the familiar, okay? All right. The second reason I like to talk about is what I call unfinished business, okay? Now, unfinished business is very simply this. If there are experiences during my childhood that left me with a sense of incompletion, a sense of not fully resolving a particular, and I'll give an example. An example might explain it.
Hold that button. We've got a caller on the line. Hello, thank you for joining us on ctntworld.com. You're on the air.
Hello, good morning, sir and madam.
Hello.
Right, darling. My situation is similar, but it is just getting to me. Husband walked out after 40 years of marriage, and we had a good marriage because the children, they have turned out really great. They are loving, they are grown up, so married. The last one is not married. Gone with another man's wife, and Jesus Christ, has 2 children with her and wants to come back home. And I don't want that. Because I knew, even though we had a good marriage, there were many things that I hid away from everybody except God. And the relationship I knew he was flirtatious. I knew he was a womanizer. But in my days, you couldn't just leave your husband and go back home to your parents. You just had to remain there until. But he chose to leave. After he retired, he took everything and he left. And I don't know what to do anymore. Yes, I turned to God and I told him all about it, but I would like, you to give me some advice, so others, they will understand that, yes, even in the old age, not the young people alone, the older ones do it too.
Thank you very much for sharing your story with us. Daryl, we have to go to a break in under a minute, but could you begin to respond to that caller?
Yes, very simply, what you have to do at this point is to do a bit of reconstructing or reconstruction of the way that you spend what you do, basically, because in a long-term relationship, your life would be revolving around the relationship and nurturing it and so on. When it's not there again, you're left with a void. You don't know what to do. So, I mean, just saying this in 60 seconds is obviously not going to do it, right?
We're going to deal with it when we come back.
Yeah, but all that is part of moving on.
Okay, so she wants to move on. And you're telling her that she should move on, go with her gut feeling.
You have to.
Okay. We're going to take a break. When we come back, more of your calls and your texts and some sage advice from psychologist Daryl Joseph. Welcome back to ctntworld.com. Today we're putting the spotlight on relationships, how to get it right, especially if you have to think about doing it the second time around. Maybe you're contemplating a second marriage, or you've come out of a very bad first marriage or a very bad long-term relationship and you're very gun shy. Well, we've got psychologist Daryl Joseph, who is also a couples therapist, in with us today to shed some light on the issue. Just before we took the break, we got a call from a lady, she would have been married for about 40 years to the same person, who then left her to enter a relationship with someone else, have children with that other person. But apparently things didn't work out so well for them. And now he wants to come back home to his first wife, the person who called into us. And she's at the stage where she's thinking, I'm not sure I want this anymore. I think that I should move on. And she called in asking Daryl some advice. And Daryl, she also hinted that over the years she would have seen that he was a bit flirtatious, that he may have been a bit of a philanderer and a womanizer. But she felt very strongly that when you're married, you work at your marriage. And especially when children are involved, you stay there to keep your family together and to give your children, you know, as safe an environment as possible to grow up in.
Yes. Let me just backtrack a little bit and say something. Of course, if the marriage is going to work, the husband, and just going on the information we receive, right? The husband, his behavior would have to change. Not just his behavior, but there would have to be another attitudinal change as well, okay? And I have no way of measuring that or verifying that in, you know, just the information that we got. But unless he is willing to make some significant attitudinal adjustments and maybe work with somebody to make that happen, then, you know, you're going to find yourself in the same situation again. All right? All of the indicators point towards the same situation recurring again and again and again. So, you know, there has to be some kind of serious commitment to change if things are going to go any differently.
We've got a caller on the line from Canupia. Good morning. Oh, hello, Canupia. Thank you for joining us on ctntworld.com.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, hello. Go ahead, please.
I've been married for 5 years. This year will make it 6. And the only thing I see that we to make a relationship work is trust. You have to have trust. In these times, either the husband is lying or the wife is lying. But if you have trust, love, and understanding, that makes a relationship. And I see in this day and age, young people are getting married and it doesn't last a year, 2 years, because they have no understanding. When I got married, the hardest time of my marriage was the first 2 years, because you have to understand your partner. It's give and take. It's not just taking and one alone. It's both. 2 makes a relationship. 2 makes an argument. 2 it takes to have children. It's an equal partnership. Thank you very much. And it's a good, I love your show, and I'm always in your show.
Thanks very much, Canupia.
Thank you.
Okay, Daryl, so we have some sage advice coming from Canupia in terms of having trust and understanding and love, and working at that relationship.
I want to expand on that a little bit. I would have covered this later, but as it came up, let's talk about it now, right? What she said is actually correct, but there's a couple of things that have to be in place in order for that to happen, okay? And I mean, there's different theories about this, right? But there's one theory that talks about passion, friendship, and commitment being the 3 key pillars behind any successful long-term relationship, okay? And very quickly, passion would be all the Hollywood stuff, all right? The infatuation, the feeling, sexual chemistry, and so on. The part that everybody likes to glorify and talk about, okay? Friendship is also equally important, though, because if all you have is passion and you can't sit down in a room with the other person with no conversation happening and just be comfortable, because, you know, you're just happy that they're there, you're also looking for trouble, all right? And the third one, which touches on what the caller was saying, commitment. You see, if I am not committed to the relationship from the start, the first time I don't understand why my partner is doing something or saying something, I will run. So it is important to have understanding, and it's important to have trust, but those things come with a certain level of commitment.
And the commitment has got to be on both sides. It can't be just one partner committed.
Cannot be on one partner, no, because if one partner has commitment and not the other, then that person may very well end up committed at some point, because they probably will go insane.
Okay.
Little play on words there.
Daryl, the calls are coming in fast and furious.
Let them come.
I think you're having one of those Ask Daryl sessions today. Hello, Port of Spain, I believe, is on the line. Go ahead, ask Daryl.
Yes, good morning to you, Jesse and Daryl. After everything is said and done, you know, we said trust followed. But if after you are the innocent partner, did everything you can, using the term with God's help in tow, and that person chooses to go the other direction, I mean, it's only the right thing to try to move on, because, I mean, you did your best, and if that person made that choice, you cannot force him to hold on to that marriage. I was married for 10 years, separated for 5, and only recently got divorced. So I'm now walking this path, but I have learned to forgive and move on. So I think putting God in the equation of it does help us to move on. Thank you. Thanks very much, Port of Spain. And I guess you'd be responding to our first caller with the 40-year marriage.
Yeah.
Moving on. Moving on certainly is an issue, because moving on, you have the trust issues coming up when you decide to take another try. And the calls are coming fast and furious. Good morning to you, Shagonas.
Hello, good morning.
Yes,
morning.
Ask Daryl.
Hey, Daryl. Morning, sir. How are you?
I am good, thanks. What's happening?
Okay, this is a very interesting program for me.
Good.
And maybe after the program, I would like to probably have a conversation with you also.
Sure. Well, we will take your information off the air. After you finish chat with us, someone will take your information.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, go ahead.
My problem is I have been married for 18 years. Went wrong for approximately 5 years. Get married as a Christian, as a matter of fact. Right? And now it's very hard after 18 years of marriage to be separated and having 4 children. Right? I want to be straight, though. I want to be straight. And the thing about it is being separated because of real issues, real financial problems, you know. And I find it is so unfair. I know someone say trust and whatever in the background, but this person seems to be Christian. The pastors in the church, you know, if the church is enterprise, Jesus is the answer praise center.
Okay.
And we have been separated almost 3 years, or 2 years or a little more. And not even the pastors in the church have the courtesy to call or put us together and have a conversation. Now I look into all these things because I grew up in a Christian church. Yeah? And I would like to get some sort of advice and, you know, some sort of talk concerning this, because it's very hurtful. It's very, very hurtful at this point in time where marriage is concerned.
I will ask you to stay on the line. One of our team will take your information so that Daryl could get in touch with you afterwards. But Daryl, for those who are listening right now, you can probably give a couple tips and pointers to that particular caller.
Okay. Well, I don't think I'm the best person to comment on in terms of the relationship between himself and the pastor and so on. All right?
Yeah.
What I can say, though, there are a couple, you know, when he said finances, there are a couple of relationship killers, huh? There's a couple of things a couple of areas. If you don't get them right, they can destroy the best of marriages. And how you handle your finances is one of those things. And, you know, we could talk on and on about how you handle finances, about disclosing information, financial information to your partner, about sharing, you know, especially in situations where there might be an inequity, where one partner earns significantly more than the other. And in many cases, if it's the female partner, you know, the male partner may sometimes have some unfortunate issues with that, and a lot of problems can arise because of that. Okay, we've got to go to a break in just a little bit, but basically what we're hearing is that you need to have trust, you need to have commitment, you must have the love, passion, friendship, and passion and friendship as well. Those are some of the key ingredients to making it work the first time around, much less for the second. We're going to take a break and come back with more on ctntworld.com. We're talking man-woman thing today. It's all about relationships. And you can ask Daryl. Give us a call at 622-4141 extension 4. We're back here on ctntworld.com, and today it's all about relationships and getting it right the first time around. And if you've got to do it a second and a third time, well, Daryl Joseph, our psychologist and couples counselor, he's got some information to share with you. We want to say thanks to everyone who's called into the show thus far and shared their intimate details with us. We really appreciate that. We're hoping that today can be a bit of a teaching session as well. So keep the calls coming, share your information, and let's see if we can get the right answers to you today. We started off by saying that there are 4 main reasons why Yes.
we pick badly.
Yes.
One of the first things we do is go with what's comfortable,
With what we
grew up with, what we're familiar
with.
with.
If it feels familiar, then it probably is where it should be, all right?
Yes.
The second one I started talking about is what I call unfinished business, okay? Let's say I have a young lady who has an emotionally distant father. Now, there's a lot of importance of the relationship between father and daughter in particular, okay? Not that the mother is not important. We all know and we agree mother is very important. But there's a couple of things that a father does for a daughter, like builds her self-esteem, builds her sense of worth, and is a good example, or supposed to be an example of what a good man, a good husband, a good father should be like. Those things are learnt in the relationship between father and daughter. So if, for example, a father is very emotionally distant, he does not hug his daughter, he does not tell her complimentary things. Matter of fact, he may mock her and insult her, and generally doesn't show her much affection. She may grow up with that wound, that psychological scar, that psychological wound. And what can happen is that she may actually, and this is what I was saying, the part where it gets scary, she may actually pick somebody who is as emotionally distant as her father was to try and get the affection from that person that she did not get from her father.
We have got a caller on the line from Malabar. Good morning to you, Malabar. Hello. You're on the air. Hello?
Hello?
Morning.
Yes, go ahead, please.
I know the situation. A 32-year-old woman who is with a 17-year-old boy. Well, I would call him a boy because, well, I know of the situation. And, well, the boy in particular, he comes from a broken home. Well, scenarios close to what Daryl was highlighting earlier. So I'm pretty concerned about the relationship that they're both having. She herself, she has come from a broken home as well. So we understand that they're probably meeting on that mutual term, but still, is the relationship right? And what can be done in a situation like that?
Okay. Thanks very much for your call, Malabar. Daryl.
Yeah, okay. And I always have to be very cagey about assessing rightness or wrongness of relationships solely based on age. All right? I do have to check I'm not sure about 17 in terms of the legal age and so on.
The age of consent is
14,
16.
16. Okay, all right. But what you have to look at, what I would look at in a situation like that is exactly what is each partner getting from the relationship. Now, I was just talking about unfinished business.
And they both sound as though they have unfinished business that they're trying to work out with each other.
I'm not saying that a 17-year-old boy and a 30, I mean, this might be really stretching the imagination somewhat. I'm not saying that they cannot find compatibility and they cannot find a true relationship. But, you know, that is more the minority. The majority of 17-year-old boys would not have that much in common with a 32-year-old woman in our society to say that that would be a lasting relationship, a well-balanced, healthy relationship, okay? So that being said, I would want to understand what exactly each partner is getting from the relationship. If it is really a case of that type of unfinished business that I was talking about, where maybe the boy, you know, he is seeing something of his mother, maybe, in an older woman, and if she may be seeking the validation of somebody younger, somebody that maybe society thinks she should not get, because it's a way of sort of, you know, patting on the back and saying, well, yes, you know, you have it or something like that. Of course, I'm not saying that that is the case, but
it is possible.
Yeah, when it's possible, it's very possible. And usually when cases like this are brought to my attention in a clinical setting, that's the direction that we end up going in, because we realize there that both parties are trying to
work something out.
They're trying to heal something, or they're trying to get something from each other that they don't have right now. They're trying to deal with some wound from the past or something along those lines.
Another caller is on the line. I think this is Canupia with us. Hello, Canupia. Thank you. Arima, sorry. Arima. Thank you for holding. You're on the air.
Yes, I'm Pleasant. Good day.
Good day.
Hello.
Right. I heard the program going on. I heard a lady call and she said that relationship is based on trust.
Yes.
But I want to let you know that the only relationship anybody could have out here that could last, it must be blessed from God. You don't wait until you get hungry and then go and look for food. You provide your food first, and then you go and enter me hungry and eat. What I'm saying is this: a lot of people not going to Almighty God first because what he said that what he put together, no man put asunder. And that, so why they must go and get involved with one another first, and when things start, then they want to go and cry to him, or they want to go and cry to a counselor. Jesus is the wonderful counselor, so they're supposed to go to him first. and then the marriage will be blessed. And a lot of family outside, they're not going to church. They not want no communicator with God. And he is the ruler of the universe. He put Adam in the garden. If Adam didn't want to eat off that food, God would have blessed him with a better wife. So what I'm saying right now, if any relationship has to last outside there, it has to be blessed from God.
Thank you very much, Arima. And that just reminds me of something that Janelle and Keith shared with us last week. They said the only reason that they're making it, that they made it at all, and that they continue to make it is because they have a very strong spiritual dimension that they both share, a principle that they call equally yoked in Christian circles. And they both have that strong faith in the Almighty, and that is what is guiding them through. And they go to Him first with everything. And I guess it works whether you're Christian or not. If you have that common religious foundation, that would go a long way towards helping you get it right in your relationship.
Absolutely. Let me state categorically, I believe very, very strongly in the importance of spirituality. I don't think you can live a fulfilled life if you don't have some level of spirituality in your life. You don't nurture it and feed it and so on, right? But the problem comes up when some very good religious, spiritual folks carry somebody to God and say, God, this is the person I want you to bless, okay? And of course, you don't hear the voice of God as a physical, as an audible voice. So you tell yourself, right, I've brought the person and no lightning has struck me or nothing has fallen down, so therefore this is the person that God has given me. And then you hook up and you go down now, falling into some of the same traps that we've been talking about here, okay? And that's something that, marriage preparation and teaching about relationships, I think, can go a long way to helping that kind of situation. But I think far too many people get themselves in that situation. And then because they believe that, you have to stay together, which is all well and good, but you have to stay together with the wrong person, you end up perpetuating those problems, not just on yourself now, but on the next generation of children.
We've got another caller on the line. Good day. Welcome to CTNTworld.com.
Yes, good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, I just need to find out. Good morning to you, Jesse, and I'm Daryl.
Hello.
Yes. Where does sexual abuse from relatives fit into this whole equation with relationships-wise? Like, how would you
and making the wrong choices?
To your husband, yes. No, not even making wrong choices. How you respond to your husband, because I'm asking this because my first relationship was really, really, really abusive, and I stayed there because I feared for my life, right? And eventually one morning I just got up and said that was it, I had enough, and I left. And
congratulations on that.
But then after I got into another one that had some abuse in it, but that one, the abuse stopped as recent as 2006, because one of your callers said that in our time, mother would say, it's not everything you have to run back home to mommy, right? So you stay and you sort yourself out. And then as everybody else is saying too, spiritual awakening has a lot to do with it. Otherwise, I would not have been probably not alive today, because I might have killed somebody.
Yes.
Yes, but because I have been sexually abused by my stepfather for years, right? And I find it really, really hard responding to my husband. I mistrust him. I look for wrong what you call it, signals in everything. I see wrong signals, in fact, in everything.
Okay, caller, thank you very much for sharing, Daryl. That caller basically told us that they had terrible experiences sexually.
Yes.
And that laid the foundation for some of what they may have encountered later on in life.
Yes, yes. So a lot of what I've said so far may very well apply to this person, but it also brings into focus, actually, this is reason number 4, so I'll just jump to reason number 4. Sexual abuse brings low self-esteem. Now, why that happens? Very simply, if you beat something up and you treat it badly, you probably don't value it very much, all right? So if a person, and a young person whose sense of self-worth and self-esteem is still in development, is still in progress, if they are beaten about and abused and treated badly by someone that they trust, someone who should love them and should treat them in very high regard, they are naturally going to think, well, okay, you're treating me this way because I am not worth anything.
Hold that note. We're going to continue with Daryl Joseph, a psychologist and couples counselor, as we put the spotlight on relationships on ctntworld.com. We're back here on ctntworld.com, and today it's all about relationships and getting it right, understanding why we keep making the wrong choices or choices that are wrong for us. Psychologist and couples counselor Daryl Joseph is in with us. And Daryl, we got a really amazing phone call just before we took the break. A woman calling in to say that she has been, well, she outlined two long-term relationships that she's been in which the person was physically abusive.
That's right.
And we can probably read the subtext there, sexually abusive as well, because most times a physical abuser would be forcing themselves on you sexually.
Absolutely, I think she actually did mention sexual abuse.
And pointed out that when she was young, her stepfather sexually abused her.
Right.
So that would have laid the foundation for the abuse that came later on in life. She clung to the familiar without realizing that's what she was doing.
Yes, and I was making the point just before the break, Jessie, that when you abuse something, when you abuse a person, that person will develop a low sense of self-worth, otherwise known as a low sense of self-esteem. Now, the flip side of a low sense of self-esteem is, if I don't think I'm worth anything, I will take whatever I get. Or I will get something that I think I deserve. And frequently, that puts you scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to meeting up and hooking up with other people. Because there are persons who will demonstrate to you very clearly that they're unfit to be in a relationship, but you will still hold on because they're interested in you and giving you some kind of pseudo-attention. All right, which is
crumbs
something
from the dining table.
Yes, little crumbs on the table. But you're so accustomed not getting anything at all that you take whatever you get because, well, you know, somebody giving it. All right, so that's how the whole self-esteem thing plays in. But I wanna talk about. I wanna just step back a little bit, okay? And we've spoken about going to the familiar. I've spoken about unfinished business. I've spoken about low self-esteem. People often develop a fear of intimacy as well. All right, if every time you try to be intimate with a pair. From an emotional standpoint, let me be very clear on that. If every experience of emotional intimacy results in pain, as an adult, you may develop also a similar fear of getting, you know, being intimately involved with anybody, all right? But I want to make a general statement, Jessie. We've seen this time and time again in the things that happen in newspaper reports, what we see on the news and so on. We have a relatively high level of dysfunction in this country, okay? Most people have been
abused and traumatized.
If not abused, at least traumatized. And in many cases, people have been traumatized by seeing other people's trauma, okay? So in our society, we have a high level of dysfunction, we have a high level of trauma. And I would go so far as to say, and I mean, I could be shot by my scientific peers for not validating the research and all of that kind of thing. But I would go so far as to say, we're having a lot of relationship problems in our society because of the level of untreated trauma and untreated abuse and untreated dysfunction that we have been through ourselves and that are being perpetuated upon the next generation.
We've got a caller on the line. Sure. Let's take this call. Hello, welcome to CTNT World. You're on the air.
Hi, good day.
Yes, hello.
Hi, yes. I have been in a relationship for 5 years, and my boyfriend comes from a normal family, nuclear family, and I myself come from a single-parent family. However, sometimes we'll have arguments and stuff like that, and his response to the solution will be that I need to form a closer bond with my father. So in that way, he sees that as being the solution to our, if it is we have an argument in terms of communication or something, he says that the only way that we will be able to resolve that would be through me forming a relationship with my father. He sees that as the only answer to solving our problems in terms of ironing that out. So I want to know what Daryl thought about that.
Thanks very much for calling and sharing. All right. Daryl.
I think your honesty caller has given your boyfriend a reason not to work on the relational problems between the two of you. Now, I'm pretty certain if there are father-daughter issues or father-daughter challenges, that contributes to the problem. But at the end of the day, communication is typically, in a relationship, is between the two people who are in the relationship, okay? So I can't say that every time I talk to you and you don't understand, it's because you need to go over there and speak to him and, improve that relationship so that you can understand me. I'm certain that it contributes, but at the end of the day, all couples have problems, all couples have their challenges, all couples have their issues and their challenges, but that's where I go back to the pillars I spoke about, the commitment. That's where the commitment comes in, because when you realize that there's a problem, you do something about it. You don't just say, well, let's throw caution to the wind or go talk to your dad, all right? You do something about it. And that, as I said, that's where the commitment aspect of it comes in.
You made a very bold statement that basically we're walking wounded in Trinidad and Tobago. And we're getting in relationships where we're trying to get some healing or at least some ease from the pain.
That's it.
So we're getting involved with each other for the wrong reasons, actually.
That's it.
If we're to follow your argument, its logical conclusion.
Yeah, you're perfectly correct. That's exactly what I'm saying. What I would say to anybody who is who knows that they have been affected by some trauma or some dysfunction in their own lives, and you are looking to get in a relationship, deal with your issues. All right? I'm not saying don't look for a relationship, don't try to, find somebody, but deal with your issues at the same time, because they will have an impact not just on the future, but the present as well, in terms of you being able to pick the right person and find the right person and attract the right people as well, because we give off signals too. If I'm a pommy one, forgive the expression, and I don't think very much of myself, and then I'm going to walk around kind of sheepish, and somebody's going to pick up on that. And the person who picks up on that is probably somebody who wants to dominate and control. So you set yourself up for trouble right there. So it's not just what you look for, it's the signals you actually give off as well, which we'll probably have to talk about another time.
We've got Faizabad on the line. Hello, Faizabad. Thanks for joining us. You're on the air.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
I was calling because I was in a really, really, really bad relationship with someone. And it got so bad to the point that he was still in his previous relationship while was with me, and I was not aware of that. And what had happened was that I knew that he was abusive to that person, but I didn't know that it would have happened to me. And with it happening to me now, it caused a really big issue. And now he is seeing that he is sorry and he wants to come back. And I am lost because this is my second relationship in a long time. And, you have these mixed emotions going on to go back or not to go back, because I know personally that my mom actually told me that if a man does hit you the first time, he will do it again. And I am just not prepared for that. And I would like to know what advice you have for me. Please, thanks.
Thank you very much for sharing, Faizabad. And Daryl, that is a really tricky situation for Faizabad. Didn't know that she was the other woman. And now that they are officially together, he's treating her the way he treated that other woman.
Okay. Most things in a relationship you can work through, and I encourage people to work through, okay? Abuse, physical, sexual, and otherwise, there's a line, okay? There must be a level of commitment from the abusing partner to change, to not do it anymore, to change. If a person abuses once and they do not demonstrate any serious commitment to change, they will do it again. It's that kind of thing. It's like a sneeze. You sneeze once and you sneeze twice and you sneeze 3 times. Persons who engage in abusive behavior in relationships, they tend to repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat, as I said, unless they demonstrate some kind of commitment to get out.
Male and female.
Male or female, either one, okay? And commitment in an abusive situation usually involves engaging somebody else, a professional person, to assist. Because the reason why a person abuses, there's underlying reasons why a person abuses, which, have been spoken about before.
Okay. In the last couple of minutes that we have, let's summarize some of the key pointers and tips for getting it right the second time around.
Okay, right. I would say, first of all, understand your own personal history and where you may have gone through dysfunction or where you may have gone through severe difficulties in your own growth and development. I gave 4 reasons why people often pick the wrong person, going to the familiar, unfinished business, trying to pick somebody who will help you resolve your own personal issues. Sometimes a fear of intimacy, being afraid to get involved with somebody too emotional and so on. And of course, low self-esteem, which also comes out of abusive situations. And I've also made the point that we have a high level of dysfunction and high levels of trauma in our society. And no doubt that is impacting the quality of relationships that we're having.
And we were lucky to have a couple callers to give their tips for success.
Yes.
The number one, they say, is to have that strong spiritual foundation
important
in the relationship. And also to have that trust and that commitment and that love.
Yes.
And also the passion. The passion is important too.
Yes, I spoke about the passion. The passion, right?
Yeah.
The passion, friendship, and commitment. Those are the 3 things that I had identified that you need to have ample quantities of all 3 of them if your relationship is going to survive in the long haul.
And with that comes love and understanding and trust.
Absolutely, yes.
Daryl Joseph, it's been great having you on the show today.
My pleasure.
Sharing your wisdom. And also a special thanks to everyone who called in and shared their stories with us and who were brave enough to ask Daryl on today's edition of CTNTworld.com. I'm Jesme Vento on behalf of all of us here at CNMG. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Stay tuned. We've got a major news bulletin coming your way next.